here to film my mid-year book freakout tag. This is the second one I've done, I think, because I've been on BookTube now for maybe a year and a half almost. Not that I've posted that many videos because I'm terrible at posting, because I don't like editing, and then when I'm really unwell I don't like filming either. So I'm so glad to be filming this. I've already filmed 2 videos today already. This is my third, and that'll keep me going for a week until I can film some more and I can get some backlog, you know, worked up. First of all, can we appreciate my Hamish t-shirt? It is a t-shirt with a Scotty dog on it, like Hamish, and my wife got me this for Mother's Day 1 year because Hamish is our baby, and I will have no criticisms or questions on this. He is our baby. She also has a matching one, but this one's mine. I love it. So yeah, today I am filming my mid-year book freakout tag. It is now the second week in July, so I definitely have passed the mid-year point. So I have all the questions on my phone, so I will be referring to this for the questions, and have all my books ready, all my answers ready, so I'm just going to get on with the questions. Question 1 is the best book you've read so far. For me, probably unsurprisingly to anybody who's spoken to me in the last 6 months, that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I read Heartstopper first on Webtoons and fell completely head over heels in love with it, hence the Heartstopper tattoo that I ended up getting. I originally fought against reading this because I don't like graphic novels. I loved Saga, but other than that I just can't stand sort of graphic formats. They don't work for me. My brain cannot work out what's going on. But Alice Oseman's illustrations are really easy to follow, and I just completely fell in love with this book. Read all 4 of them within a couple of hours on Webtoons, went and immediately bought the copies of them. I then binged the TV series, and I've read this book in particular 3 times this year and gotten a tattoo inspired by Heartstopper. So I think we can say this is the best book I've read so far this year, and if anything tops it then I might cry. Question 2 is the best sequel you've read so far. I've read surprisingly little sequels this year. I've read a lot of standalone books, and the sequels I have read haven't all been shining stars, but the best has definitely been The City of Tears by Kate Moss. Kate Moss is one of my favourite, if not my favourite, historical fiction authors. This is based in the time of the sort of religious wars that were going on in France. So it's June 1572, and the first one is obviously before that. This book covers a lot of the time when the Huguenots were famously slaughtered in Paris. The gates were locked, everything was closed down, and the Huguenots were slaughtered. This family that we follow are Huguenots, and obviously they managed to escape, otherwise there wouldn't be a book. But they don't escape cleanly, and you know, part of that is the story that we follow. Absolutely love Kate Moss's writing, and she is an autobiographer for me. She writes a historical fiction, I'm buying that historical fiction. So yeah, this is the best sequel I've read so far. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. This was an easy one, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I absolutely loved the first Emily Henry book that I read. I can't remember which one it was. Yep, can't say it. Not a clue what the first one I read was. But Book Lovers is about a literary agent called Nora and Charlie, who's an editor, and they are work nemesis, and obviously, you know, they end up being stuck together for a summer and they fall in love. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Emily Henry really has a way with romances, and I have this and I have the other book, which is Beach Read, over there, so I'll be reading both of them at some point soon. Question 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that is the next book in this series up here that you can see. It takes up the shelf above and is creeping onto this shelf, and that is called After the Bite by Lindsay Sands. It is part of the Arjanu series, Rogue Hunter series that she writes. It is kind of like a sci-fi fantasy vampire story, so they're scientific vampires, and it is basically somebody romance, and they all follow the same formula, and they are definitely sort of like trashy guilty reads, but I absolutely love them. I love all the characters. I love getting to know the characters more. Every book that you read, every book follows a different couple as they meet and end up together, but you see other characters from previous novels in the stories, and it's just I love it. I can't explain it, but I absolutely love them. So I always pre-order them. The minute they're up for pre-order, I have that pre-ordered, and they come and I read them in one sitting every time. Question 5 is the biggest disappointment so far. Yeah, again, anybody who knows me will know the answer to this. That is Leviathan by Rosie Andrews. I had such high expectations for this book, and unfortunately it let me down. She didn't do the best job of this. I think this might be a debut novel. So for a debut novel, it was great, but it didn't give me what I wanted, and it tried to do far too much in the time it had. I think she could have done a fantastic job of this, but it needed to be much more dense and much longer to give it what it should have gotten. So for me, this is the biggest disappointment. It wasn't a bad book by far. I think it was a 3.5 star, but still, I've been having 5 stars just, you know, knocking it out of the park. So this to me has been the biggest disappointment for the expectations that I had. Question 6 is the biggest surprise so far. That for me has to be The Roommate by Rosie Danan. I was about 30 pages into this book, I put it down and messaged Bobby just, what the hell am I reading? Because I thought this was going to be a forced proximity, roommate, romance, and then all of a sudden it took a turn into, here's my political views on the adult entertainment and sex work industry and how they're mistreated badly and should be treated better because they are humans who have emotions, who have, you know, feelings and ambitions and dreams and personalities. They're not just here for you to use and then throw away. And it was incredible, and I loved it, and I was so glad there was a sequel because I immediately picked up and read it. Definitely recommend. It is such an important book to read. On top of that, it's an amazing romance as well. So question 7 is favourite new author. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised when I say Alice Oseman. I've read Heartstopper now. This one 3 times, the rest of the series twice. I've now picked up all of her other books, and I've already read Nick and Charlie This Winter in Solitaire, and I will be reading the rest of them very soon. She has a great way with her representation of characters, and I just, if you've not read Heartstopper yet, just do it. Do yourself a favour and do it. Question 8 is your newest fictional crush, and I do have a couple for this, so just bear with me. So the first, probably unsurprising to anybody, or maybe surprising to some people, is Naomi from The Intimacy Experiment. She is an absolute incredible human, incredible person, and if you've read it, you know, and I can't explain it, but if you know, you know. She's Naomi, and she's Naomi. My other new fictional crush is Heath from the Tommy Grayson series and the Supernatural Sisters series. So these are the 4 books that I have so far. These 3 are the Tommy Grayson, and this is The Wailing Woman, which follows other characters but is within the same world, takes place during these books. Heath is an immortal character that we follow, or we find in these books. He is a Pict who is now immortal, and again, he's kind of similar to Naomi in the way that it's just like, he's so badass, and he doesn't pull any punches, but he's so considerate as well, and I just love Heath. Doesn't help that in my head I see him as Woody Harrelson, but is a very specific character. Like, I don't know if anybody else understands it, but like Woody Harrelson but crossed with like Alexander Skarsgård. That's what I see, and he kind of reminds me of Eric from True Blood, and again, I love Eric from True Blood. Are my fictional crushes problematic? Absolutely. Would I date anybody like that in real life? Absolutely not. Not in a single lifetime. But in books, give them all to me. Question 9 is your newest favourite character. Yes, I'm pulling it out again because I can, and that is Nick Nelson from Heartstopper. He is the most golden retriever, sweet cinnamon roll of a person ever. He's just, the way he is with Charlie and with Charlie's little brother and the 2 dogs, and I just want to squish him. He's so cute and I love him. It's just what he goes through, you know, looking at his sexuality and starting to understand that and on terms with it, and you know, everything that he goes through. He's my favourite character because he's still, by the end of it, still a golden retriever, still loves his family, everybody else's family. He is, I can't praise Nick Nelson enough, and he's just one of my favourite characters. But most of the characters from Heartstopper are my favourite characters. I mean, you know, but also Nellie. I love Nellie. Nellie's probably the best character, but we'll say Nick because he's human, you know, because obviously Nellie's got a one up because she's a dog. Next question is a book that made you cry. That one's going to be an easy one. So, book that made me cry, This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. I picked this up before I wanted to watch the series, read this, wept like a baby, and then watched the series and didn't quite weep like a baby. But this is the Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. Basically, Adam Kay, when he was a junior doctor, kept a diary, kept a sort of, not quite a diary of his time, and some of the chapters, or some of the entries, are really, really short, some of them are more lengthy. They are so funny, they are laugh out loud funny. If you work in the NHS at all, you will totally understand. And then he hits you right in the gut at the end, and there's a reason he left the NHS, and it's something that, if not still happening, is worse. And I think this would be really, really important for people to read, as long as they're okay with all the medical stuff, because it is quite graphic, and scenes of death and things like that, because, you know, when you work in a hospital, people are going to die. But yeah, it's really heart-wrenching at the end, and there's a reason he never went back to being a doctor, and I honestly don't blame him. Question, I think 11, is a book that made you happy. Quite surprisingly, this one is The Boy on the Bridge by M.R. Carey. This is a sort of prequel to The Girl with All the Gifts, which is kind of like a horror novel. This is also somewhat of a horror novel. Basically, there is this zombie fungus that has taken over the human race, and has created these things called hungries. So if you get bitten, you turn into one of them, and all they want to do is eat and spread the disease. And this is about the crew of Rosie, Rosie is the big tank thing that you meet in The Girl with All the Gifts, and this tells you how Rosie ended up where she ended up and what happened to the crew. And this made me happy in such a strange way, because it is death and destruction and zombie apocalypse, but there's a beautiful shining moment at the end, and it just made me smile so much, and I absolutely loved the end. But even throughout, the way the characters treated each other, it was beautiful, and I loved it, and I just never thought I'd love a book like this, but I absolutely adored it. Question 12, most beautiful book you've bought or have received. That one was hard for me because I have quite a few beautiful books, but a few that are also not that beautiful. But anyway, I picked two for this because apparently I'm cheating, and that is this special edition of The Invisible Life of Adeline Rue with the flowers, the silver flowers on the side, and this beautiful cover. And also Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman, because of these amazing, amazing sprayed edges. Is it going to focus? Probably not. But I came down to it, these are the two most beautiful books. This one mostly for the sprayed edges. This one I just think it's beautiful, and it's got the silver top as well. But yeah, these are the most beautiful books I own, as far as I'm concerned. And the last question is, what are the books you need to read from now on? Basically everything on my TBR cart. You're on my TBR cart right now, and it is filling up really, really fast. So yeah, anything from there I just need to get rid of. Okay, so that was the mid-year Freakout tag, and I am going to go because I'm about to run out of time. This is all flashing at me. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!